I'm here with my best friend, Dmitri Young. What's up, D?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good to see you,
Hey,
brother.
good to see you too. I'm glad you came out here to Niles, Ohio. I'm managing here the Mahone Valley Scrappers in the draft league, and I'm on my climb to get back to the big leagues this time as a coach.
That's awesome, man. I know I've been promising you for a while to get to one of these games. I got here early today, so I was like, we had all this free time, and I wanted to sit down and you've been out of the baseball card game for a while, and a lot of these new guys, they came around a few years ago. They don't realize that you were the original OG of like high-end collecting. So I kind of wanted to just chat with you a little bit about your collection and like explain to some of these younger guys like what we were doing back in the day, because we started building your collection 20, 25 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. Like, do you remember some of the big cards that you had back in the early 2000s?
Oh my God. We had Pete Rose rookie
In a 10,
and a 10.
Yep.
We had Stan Musial.
Stan Musial rookie in a 10.
Yes, sir.
We had the Clemente, 55 tops Clemente in a PSA 10, which is still the only one. So that's what out of everything, and there was a lot, because I remember I'd catch up with you in like LA for a Dodgers game, and like you would have your luggage, you'd have your personal stuff, you'd have your cards with you. Like those are your babies. Like your collection was your babies. What's the number one card that you ever had?
Oh, that has to be the Hank Aaron rookie, the PSA 10 Hank Aaron 54 tops rookie. That was the card I was seeking from the get-go, and my financial advisor at the time was like, I couldn't get the PSA 8 Hank Aaron, and so I bought up everything else.
Okay. Now everyone is accepted. Like, cards are assets, and like have you been following what's been going on the last couple of years during COVID, like of this crazy spikes in the market, or have you kind of been?
I've been laying low, but my son Damon, he's up on the card game, and
Yep.
and he showed me a couple of clips, especially one about the Reggie Jackson rookie card.
Oh yeah, the Reggie. That was a big one. I love Damon, your son. I've been mentoring Damon and getting him in the game a little bit, but I think it's hard for these people to understand like the value. Like when we stepped up and bought, I think for an example like the Clemente. I remember we paid $150,000 for the Clemente 10, and everybody was making fun of us. They were like, how could you ever pay $150,000 for a baseball card? And I think today that card might be 10 million. Like, does that eat at you at all? Like, and I guess that brings me to the next question is, and everybody wants to know, like why did you end up selling? Because I know when, you were so passionate about this. Like, this was your thing. Like, this was literally like your child, like this collection. So, like, what ultimately led to, what was the decision to try to end up making to sell this collection?
Upon retirement, it was like, what? I completed my journey with the cards, It was like, now I got into coaching and doing stuff with the youth over the past 10 years. It was like, it's time to share the collection with the world for those who are collectors and love cards the way that I did.
Yeah.
And I still do. It's just I'm no longer collecting. And I know a lot of the cards now found new homes, and people, I heard, still have the Dmitri Young collection on some of the cards.
I actually have. I think I have a few. I have still. I think in my PC, your '91 rookie final, whatever it was, the Upper Deck rookie with the pedigree Dmitri Young collection in my PC. Have you thought about getting back in at all, or?
You know what? The card game is so, new age now that I've been collecting fishing poles because I'm a fisherman now. Just now started freshwater fishing out here, but I do saltwater, deep sea fishing out in California.
Okay, so you're okay. So we can't look forward to a DY return, probably. And I know you still actually have some stuff, but and I actually just thought of this. I wanted to give a shout out because, like I said, a lot of these younger guys don't know. Like, the reason we met was 20 some years ago. We've been best friends for 20 some years. We met through a guy named Dave Bailey, and I just wanted to give some respect to Dave because a lot of people don't know Dave. And Dave was one of the hobby pioneers. I know he kind of got you started and helped you out from, and a lot of these, you're an athlete, you played in the league, and when guys come in, they get taken advantage of. Like, I see it all the time now, all these new guys, big money, and it's just what it is. They get taken advantage of, and it's good to have somebody to kind of be your support system. And I know Dave was that guy, and like I'd work with Dave, so I just wanted to give Dave a shout out in this because Dave's an OG. Unfortunately, Dave passed away a few years ago, but Dave was a big part of both of our lives, and So, do you have any good memories about Dave? Like funny stories or anything? Because there'll be people watching this, from like 20, 30 years ago to these new guys, and the old guys will appreciate the stories, and the new guys need to hear it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got traded to Detroit from Cincinnati after the '01 season, and mutual friend of both Dave and myself, Robert Fick. I'll bring like an Al Kaline Gem Mint 10 rookie. I'll have it up in my locker, and so Robert was like, "Dude, you're probably getting ripped off," which I was because, as you said, I was that athlete, and
You were a target.
I was at Target, and there was people that was, gouging the prices. I was paying double for stuff, and so Robert introduced me to Dave, and Dave was like, "Hey, if you like the guy that you're working with, that's fine." And it was a Gem Mint 10 Carlton Fisk rookie, 72 tops.
Okay.
And the guy, probably, I think it was $25K.
Okay. Which is a lot at the time. That's nothing now for a card, but at the time that was a lot.
But Dave got it for 10.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So he saved you some money.
Yeah, and then we just kind of hit it off from that, and then Dave got sucked into my addiction, which was getting those cards, and then us three and Joe Tuttle helped create the review process.
Yeah, we did. We would buy up a lot of nice nines and send in just a pool of, Well, I remember there was one card we had like 40 or 50 nines. We were trying to. So that was like. Now speaking of Robert Fick, it just totally reminds me. I think you still have the last hit at Tiger Stadium. It was a grand slam, the Robert Fick hit, and you have that bat.
Yes,
Right?
I did. Yeah, I bought it from him.
That's a sick. Like, if you're a Detroit fan, to have the last hit at Tiger Stadium, like as a grand slam bat, like, I don't know if any of you guys are Tigers fans, hit me up. I'll take my usual 15% like we do, and we'll make some money on that. But that is a cool piece. That's a one of a kind to have. So, is there a card that you never? And there's just so much sick shit. Like, I mean, people can't fathom, and we'll add some pictures of the videos of some of the cards. But was there any card that you wanted, that you never got, that you just couldn't obtain, we couldn't find, just didn't exist? Maybe there wasn't a 10 where you just had a 9. Was there a card that you were like pissed that you didn't have?
You know what? I never had a Willie Maze Gem Mint 10 51 Bowman. I don't think there's one in existence, but I did have the 9, but it wasn't a 10, so I didn't include it in the collection because it was a Gem Mint 10 rookie card collection.
So we actually have now that you bring up the Willie Maze, we got an interesting story with that. So the Maze, you're my boy, so you wanted to support me, and there honestly there wasn't a reason for you to do it other than just support me. But you had the 51 Maze in a PSA 9, and I was working with my new grading company, ISA International Sports Authentication, and you gave me that card, and you said, "Jason, I want you to crack this out and put it in your holder. I want to support you." Actually, I have somewhere. Where am I find it? Right here, man. I don't know if you've seen this yet. I haven't showed this to you.
No, I haven't.
So we'll get a close up. So like.
Jeez, it looks great in this holder too.
Yeah. So that was the PSA 9. Because we couldn't get a 10, we had a PSA 9. 51 Maze. I mean, this card in a PSA 9 is millions now. So it's still a monster card. But this card was in a PSA 9 holder. And just because of our friendship, you're like, I want to support you. I want to put a high-profile card in your holder. So we crossed this over to ISA 9. So maybe at some point you'll put this in auction, or.
You know what? In time,
Okay.
In time.
I know this is like.
As your company builds and builds.
Man, maybe
that's a cornerstone card for it.
All right, so it's going back in the safe for now, but maybe for someday. But this card is the best of the best. So that I don't think there is a 10 though. So like that is literally the best that you can get of that. Personally, obviously, I would have loved to see you have like a Mantle 9, but even back then, 10s were still pricey. Like I don't think you were dropping $1 million, $2 million on it. I think the most we ever spent was like 150,000. Was it on Clemente, and then 125,000 on Aaron?
Yeah.
And at the time, I just think back of how different it is, because you've been out of it for a while. But people, they look at those prices now, and those cards are millions. But like at the time, people thought we were crazy. buying these
I
cards.
thought we were insane.
Thought we were insane. So we were pioneers before, and like you said, the review game. I mean, it was so much fun doing that, and so we'll get back to cards in a minute. So we'll switch subjects a little bit, talk a little bit about your major league days, and my wife actually wanted me to ask this question to you. Like I was asking, I'm like, hey, because like I said, we've been friends forever, and I was like, is there anything you want to know about D? And she said, yeah. She goes, I want to know. This came up. Pete Rose was at her house staying the night, and he was telling me all these crazy stories, and she wanted to know, one, what's your favorite locker room moment, and also, we'll start there. What's your favorite locker room? And I can give you a chance to think about it. And then my second question is there a player, could have been active or retired, or maybe there's two answers that I don't want to say starstruck because you were a big leaguer, and you lived a life. But was there a player that had an aura to them, or you were starstruck, or I don't want to say scared to face, or maybe a pitcher, but was there someone where you're like, holy shit, I'm facing this person? And then retired, was there somebody that you looked up to that you were just an awe to be around?
You know what? Favorite locker room moment? I don't have a favorite per se. It was just every day going into the locker room, and when I was with the Reds, we had the Yankees manager, Aaron Boone, the Yankees hitting coach, Sean Casey. We had Pokey Reese, and we were all young, Danny Graves. And, we were around the same age. And, the energy that each of us brought to an already established team with Barry Larkin, and then we had Reggie Sanders in 98, and then we had Greg Vaughn in 99, and then we had the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. in 2000 and 2001. And, being around those guys that know how to prepare and stuff and get ready for the game, those are the things that I'm teaching these kids now. So a lot of the stuff that I went through as a player, now as a coach, trying to teach these guys to learn how to relax, chill, have fun, enjoy the journey. And what was that second question?
The second question was, and you can give me one or two answers, is there an active or retired player that just was wow, to be in the presence of that person? It's for me, it would be I've been around a lot of guys, but if Jordan walked up to me, I'd lose my shit. I grew up just as a big Jordan fan. Obviously, baseball, some of these Hank Aaron, Willie Maze, I'm guessing it might be Hank Aaron or Willie Maze, but I don't know. Is there someone where you might just be speechless to be in the presence of that person?
The names that you mentioned, Hank Aaron, Willie Maze, when you're around greatness like that, it's just you kind of, you can't get your words out, and you're just, and when they know your name, that's what makes it even worse, because you're just in awe that, wait a minute, you paid attention to, who
cool.
I am.
That's cool.
And as far as players that I played with or against, of course, my favorite player was Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, and I have a story about Doc Gooden.
Okay,
this was in New York, checking out a hotel. I was with the Reds, he was with the Guardians, my bad. And, we were playing the Mets, they were playing the Yankees, and we were checking out a hotel, and he was right in front of me, and I didn't know how to do anything. And our traveling secretary, he goes, why are you so nervous? And I go, man, that's my favorite player right there. Hey, Doc, Dmitri Young wants to meet you. And he turned around, hey, man, I heard you was a big fan. Breathe. Yeah. And told him that, man, I idolized him. Yeah. I had his rookie card, and then I met Darryl Strawberry while I was coaching during the Breakthrough Series that's run by Major League Baseball, and he came out to the Compton site, and I talked his ear off, about how big of a fan I was.
What year is this?
This is between probably 2017, 2018.
Okay.
So not too long ago.
Okay, so those are your guys.
Yeah, and of course, got to hang out with Ricky Henderson,
okay.
Mr. Third Person himself.
Yeah.
And he's a joy to be around because on top of it, he's very, very knowledgeable. People know Ricky for stealing bases and talking in third person, but if you're around Ricky Henderson, he will dissect the pitcher just like you would dissect a frog, as far as what he's throwing, what he's throwing for strikes, what am I going to be stealing on, and he's just an intelligent man, and to be around that kind of presence, makes you smarter.
Yeah, he was one of the best ever. So just talking, makes me think of more questions. So I got more, So while I'm thinking about it, thinking how good a hitter Ricky was there a pitcher that you just had your number, that you just I don't want to face this guy tonight, and shit, I got to face it. Who is that guy?
Well, people ask me that question, who's the toughest pitcher, and I have, 3 of them. One being Billy Wagner, who should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Jesus, I was 0 for 9 with 7 punch-outs against him. Couldn't touch him. And the thing was, he's short and quick to throw, but he also hides the ball. So you don't see what's coming until the very last moment.
Okay.
And then number 2, Mr. Unanimous, Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, he's killer.
Yeah, and my former teammate Carlos Guillen was like, hey, bro, you need to hit on the right side because the ball will cut away from you.
Yeah.
I did that. I hit into a 1-2-3 double play to end the game. And so I'm playing New York. I said, I'm going to go up there left-handed. First of all, I started overthinking. He threw a ball and it went right here. And I was like, damn, that's the cutter. I'm going to take it. Kept straight. I'm like, shit. Yeah. And then the next one, I'm swinging no matter what. It stopped right there and then went 1-2-3 double play to end the game.
Oh, it didn't matter what side you're batting.
Oh, no, I stunk. And then the number one guy, most people will go, who?
Yeah.
Anyway, I was 0 for 13 with 11 punch-outs and 2 pop-ups to the catcher in foul territory. He pitched for the Indians in the mid-2000s. He was a relief pitcher. Other guys hit well against him, but me, myself, and he threw no harder than 91, 89 and 91, but he had a riser. He just kept rising. And I tried swinging down, I tried swinging up, I got on the plate, I tried getting hit, and I love hitting. So if I'm trying to get hit,
you're swinging. Yeah.
Yeah, that meant I turned into a big, you-know-what.
Yeah.
And one time.
Who was that?
Oh, I'm gonna say it. 1 second.
You said the story. Okay.
Yeah. And so we're playing the Indians at their place. Rafael Betancourt's pitching. I loved hitting against him. So I'm walking up to the plate. Eric Wedge, the manager, looks over at me, starts smiling. He's making a pitching change, and he goes like this.
Oh, so he knew.
And so I bolt back to the dugout, and Hall of Fame manager Alan Trammell, I go, Tram, can we get a pinch hitter for him? I'm like, and when you suck against somebody, guess what? You know the stats.
Yeah.
I'm 0 for 10 against them, and Kirk Gibson, our bench coach, he goes, man, take your ass up there and strike out like a man. So I go up there, and I wound up popping up in foul territory, and I come back, yeah, I didn't strike out. And they just both shook their head. The guy's name is David Riske, R-I-S-K-E. See, when you stink against somebody, you know how to spell their name.
I know a lot of players. I've never heard of David Riske. He had your number.
Oh, God. To the point where after retirement and getting on social media, I hit him up and I told him, yeah, man, people ask who was the toughest pitcher, and I said it's you.
Yeah, that's wild. I was expecting, Mariano Rivera makes a lot of sense. I was expecting some crazy name. Dave Riske. So when you were talking about Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, you mentioned you had Doc's rookie card.
Oh,
yeah. So that got me thinking, how early did you start collecting? And obviously I'm assuming you grew up probably not a lot of money, so just, when did you go, did you collect as a kid, slow down for a little bit, and then maybe when that first paycheck came in, you said, hey, let's go back and go hard? Was there a gap, or did you kind of?
I always kind of collected. I started when I was playing on the base when I was 7, 8 years old in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And, after a ball game, you go get a hot dog and a drink. And back in the day, they would have boxes of cards that you can get, Topps, Fleer, Donruss. So I'm dating myself to the early 80s.
I say when you admit that, you're telling people how old you are.
And so I would get some cards, and I was always intrigued by the rookie cards. And living in Virginia Beach, Virginia at the time, we had the Tidewater Ties in Norfolk, Virginia, because my dad was stationed at Oceana. And my dad was a Navy pilot, and he was stationed on the USS Independence. And so So when we were there, my dad would take me to a couple of games. I saw Darryl Strawberry go deep, and then the following year I got to see Doc Gooden throw, and then eventually they went up to the Mets. And I'm dating myself again, and that was back when they only had 3 stations that had baseball on it. WTBS, the Braves, WGN, the Cubs, and WWOR were the Mets.
I didn't know that. I know the other 2, but I didn't know the Mets. Oh yeah, so you're going back mid-'80s. So then, like, do you remember like 89 Upper Deck with Griffey, like that whole craze? Were you kind of involved, or were you so into baseball that you don't?
That was when I was playing high school baseball at the time, and the funny thing was, I used to draw myself on a card like a Donruss rated rookie or the Fleer Future Stars and stuff like that, and the Topps All-Star rookie, and drew the cup on there, and I always have a random person out, just an empty spot that I had myself. I used to draw. I don't draw with the damn.
Right. I'm sure they were goofy looking cards, but you don't have any of that stuff. It's all thrown away probably now, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have that stuff. So when did you make your first? So like that's like late '80s, early '90s. Like when did you make your first big purchase where you're like, I'm gonna start buying like investment grade type, high grade? Was it like late '90s or early?
It was, I want to say late '90s, either late '90s or like 2000. I want to say 2000. Danny Graves and myself did a car show in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And it was for a couple grand, and I told him I just wanted a Pete Rose rookie.
Yeah.
And so
I remember the story. I think you got paid a Pete Rose rookie.
PSA 8 PSA 8 Pete Rose rookie. And what was special about that card, outside of it being Pete Rose, one of my closest friends growing up, John McMullen, his dad Ken McMullen's on that card.
Okay.
And Ken McMullen's a legend out in Southern California in our area, and so it had sentimental meaning on top of having a Hit Kings card.
Yeah. I love a lot of the old rookie cards had multiple players on them. So like one of the jokes is like when we're buying cards, I'm trying to find a Jerry Koosman rookie. And a lot of people won't get that joke. Some people will, but
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan rookie, but Jerry Koosman, Nolan Ryan. So yeah, a lot of
and wasn't at that time Jerry Koosman was more of a popular player than
people
Nolan
wanted
Ryan?
Jerry Koosman initially, and then obviously Ryan became Nolan Ryan. But and then Steve Carlton's got.
Yeah.
Who's with so all those guys, but you know what I'm talking about. So it's fun to have multiple guys with that. So okay, so Pete Rose in an 8 was the first big card, and then was it like slow and steady, or did you just like addicted and just I'm going for it?
Oh, I have an addictive personality. I dove in head first right into the deep end. I started doing my research on PSA. I went to PSA cards and saw the grading standards and what you look for in the card, and I wanted the best.
Yeah.
And so I started out with the PSA 8s after the Pete Rose rookie, and then because I was playing well, I got an increase in pay.
Started making a little money.
Oh yeah, and then by the time I got traded over to Detroit and signed a 4-year deal, it was like, I looked at that as like, how many years am I gonna get to collect?
Yeah.
And then that was when I started getting better cards, going from 8s to 9s, and then I sold my 8s to a big league coach named Trent Jewett, who was also a big card collector.
Okay.
And then when I was buying up 9s, there was people that was selling 10s as well. And I was like, well, oh hell, let me get the 10s.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
So did you know when that? I think it's like weekly deposit. They hit your account. Like, did you look at it like when that hit your account? Like, I got some money for bills and investments, and the rest of it's going towards cards. Is that like it was your mindset for a little bit?
Kind of. And then I met a shiesty individual who was, hitting me over the head with these prices on cards, and that was when Robert Fick introduced me to Dave Bailey, and then that was when the collection became fun.
Yeah, because you knew you weren't getting screwed anymore. We were getting stuff at real money, good prices, and we weren't overpaying. Because it's like saying when you add that buffer in there, a guy like Dave or me, where they're dealing with us, it's like they know they're dealing with somebody that knows the business, and you can't take advantage of them. Like you said, was the Carlton Fisk the first big card you took?
From Dave,
okay.
Yes.
So that was the first card, your first big purchase, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
And after that, I dropped the other dude to the curb, and then he tried to sue, and he didn't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if the guy's even around anymore. I doubt it.
I'm sure he's not. Yeah.
But with Dave, it was like start meeting a lot of the heavy hitters in the business, like yourself and Joe Tuttle, and it was like it was fun because it was a fun time because I'll be on the phone all night with Dave, and I'll be on eBay, you know, scouring and then buying up a bunch of nines, and then you'll see them, and some of them would fit the description of a PSA 10, and so Dave and I talked about that, and then we talked about that, and then next thing you know, we're sending them in, and then they'll throw us a bone, and we get
A lot of these new guys, like they don't realize, you know, like they all think they're reinventing the wheel. Like they're all now trying to buy stuff and crack out because, you know, they're realizing that a really nice 9 on Tuesday maybe is a 10 on Friday. You know, it's like when you got, so it's like there is a little bit of area to crack stuff out. Like you crack out enough nice stuff, you might get a few of the upgrades. So I remember that time, dude. It was so much fun, and like especially with some of those big boy cards we were chasing, and
oh my God, yes.
it was a good time.
I remember one national, Dave had a bunch of my cards, and I got 5 bumps.
Okay.
One of them included Jim Rice, 75 Topps rookie, and at the time there weren't any.
That was a big one. I remember Steve Garvey was a big one, but I think my favorite bump was, I think Reggie Jackson was a bump. That might be the biggest.
Yeah.
You see what that sold for last sale? Like $1 million.
Yeah.
Does that eat at you right now or a little bit or?
You know what? Like you said, everything I've done was before my time.
Yeah.
And
so ahead of the game.
So it's like sometimes innovators don't get, I guess, those prices.
Yeah.
Because it's brand new. Like I said, we came up with the review process. You hear that, newbies?
Yeah.
The guy, hey.
Godfather. I mean, that's why I honestly thought it was so important to do it. And like we've been trying to do this forever, and we're both so busy, and I'm just like, I wanted people to appreciate and understand, like you kind of paved the road. Like there's so many celebrities and athletes and stuff in the game now. It's getting so much notoriety. Like when we were doing it, it wasn't cool. Like when we to tell people like, hey, I'm playing with I'm spending this amount of money on baseball cards. People looked at us like we were nerds. They thought we were stupid. They was like, I can't believe you're investing your money in this shit. And like you almost kind of had to defend it. Where now it's the exact opposite. Like it's the coolest thing in the world, and like you paving the road is one of the big celebrities at the time. So, it's just awesome. So I thought the world kind of needed to see this, and man, it's been so great catching up and doing all this with you. I know you got your guys here. You got to go get a game in like an hour. I'll let you take care of that. I'm gonna have you give me a quick tour of the stadium, and then I'll let you do your thing. I'm gonna watch the game and enjoy.
All right, man. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you about baseball cards. It's like a real love for me during my entire life, and even though I don't collect now, it always has a special place in my heart.
For sure. All right, Dmitri Young, guys, this is awesome.